Hey guys, today it's Tyler. I'm going to be reviewing the iPhone 6 Plus 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 Plus. So, I might have been joking before. It's not quite an iPhone, meaning it doesn't perform to what you'd expect an iPhone to. This phone was actually made by a company called Jiake, and this is the M8. It's an overseas product, so bear with me here. Now, one thing I kind of dislike is that nowhere on this box that I've got right here, or on the phone, or anywhere on the insides of the phone, can you see any symbolization that this is a Jiake phone. You have to Google it and scrounge 30 pages into some unreliable forum just to get a mention of the name so that you can Google the name to try and figure out where the phone comes from. Now, I bought this phone off of the online sourcing company called Geek, which you can buy things for pretty cheap. You can see the smartwatch I bought from that up there. But just like that smartwatch, this phone underperformed to what I thought it was supposed to. Now, see, it's got 6 inches of real estate for watching videos, and that's pretty much all you're going to end up doing on this. Now, I would say 6 inches, and with how wide it is too, would probably be adequate for me watching a small movie. And because it allows for micro SD expansion, you can put videos and preload videos on here to watch. Now, I would watch a movie on this if I felt the need to. The reason I say it underperforms is because there's only about 4 gigabytes of onboard storage in this phone. Now, naturally, 3 gigabytes are taken for the Android operating system, so you've got about 1.1 gigabytes of onboard storage on this. And because it doesn't update to iOS 6 or to OS 6.1, which is Marshmallow, if you were unsure, or 6.0 is Marshmallow, you don't end up getting the ability to store apps natively on the micro SD card. So you have to store them on the onboard storage, and you have the option to split up some of the metadata and put that on the micro SD card, and then you can put some of the other storage straight on the phone. The problem with this is that not every app allows that to happen, and so you'll end up using up that data really fast. You have to kind of pick and choose apps that are allowed to store most of its data on the micro SD card, and just a little bit of the essential stuff, like possibly a thumbnail, directly on the regular storage. Because of this, if you fill up so much space, you actually end up losing general usage. Like, it'll slow down, it'll lag a lot. I know that when I temporarily had Facebook on this phone, I had to regularly clear the cache for Facebook because I would end up with 100 megabytes of cache, and you gotta realize that's a tenth of the relative amount of storage I have left, which is a huge problem. One thing I kind of like about the design is that this outside, this silver, is really nice. It's beveled so that it's not completely circular. There's an angle here, and a straight edge here, and another angle here. So that's nice. Plus the straight line in the back which makes it so that the back's not completely blank, which I suppose is nice. Along with this, it's got a camera and a flash. I don't specifically remember the specifications for either of those, but that's that. It charges via a micro USB cord, or port, and then it's got a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. Now, one thing I was very disappointed about with this phone is that 3.5 millimeter audio jack actually stopped working after I had this phone for about 3 months. So I can no longer play music with this phone with headphones in, which is a reason why I stopped using it for playing movies either. Because without headphones, I'm kind of just blaring my stuff out loud, and I don't necessarily listen to music appropriate for everybody to listen to, so that would be a problem. I noticed this after I was called out in class for my music blaring out loud because it was plugged in, it just doesn't get a connection anymore. I've tried several different pairs of headphones, and as a matter of fact, I used the same pair of headphones that failed with this one and ended up using them for my Moto X phone that I use as a daily driver. But that was a problem in and of itself, is that the micro or the 3.5 millimeter audio jack failed, which was horrible for me because I use my headphones almost all the time. Another thing is when I ordered this phone right here, it came with a case, if that's what you want to call this. Really, it's just this plastic piece of, I suppose you can call it a case. It's got cutouts for all the ports and all of the buttons and stuff. Matter of fact, it doesn't even contain cutouts for the top or for the ports on the top because it doesn't extend to the top or to the bottom. I wouldn't care for it to extend to the bottom because that's where the speakers are located here. But in reality, this doesn't provide any protection at all. And because, as I mentioned before, this is kind of an offshore Chinese company, you can't regularly find a case that'll fit this. You just won't. So pretty much sticking with the one that came with the box is the only option you have. It provides pretty much no protection for the screen itself because you can drop it flat on the case or flat on the screen like that, and the sides don't brace it at all because they fit the phone perfectly, which is a problem. If they want to consider adding a case, at least make it somewhat useful. And that's kind of my rant about the case. Another thing that I noticed is that this silver shielding on the outside that I like a lot peels. And I don't know if you can tell quite, but the where it comes into contact with the screen and a little bit before that, just on this last beveled area, you can see it starting to peel, and you see a whole bunch of white scratch marks there. And that kind of made me mad when I noticed those initially. And I don't know. I would kind of prefer for them to kind of ship this out with some decent quality, but at the same time, I bought this from Geek for $60. Now that's really cheap for a phone, you might think, but you got to remember, I spent $60 on a gigabyte and a half, or maybe 1.1 gigabytes of storage that I can't use without noticeable delays in the operating system, in animations, in anything that I want to really do or play. Also, the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, it wore out. It's no longer usable. So for this, I normally don't use this phone anymore. It's kind of in that archive of technology that I like to keep around just to show off that I've got, hey, a 6-inch screen smartphone. But one of the things that I wish it would happen is I'm a big fan of an actual button, an actual home button. See, this is just a sensor, so it's supposed to be that you can put your finger on it and it'll register it, and that happened most of the time. However, I did realize that sometimes I'd put my finger over it and it wouldn't register it for maybe like half a second or something, and that would be a problem. Another thing is that I understand it's a 6-inch phone, but it goes way out of the limit for my thumb. I kind of have to base my hands in the middle and then have one thumb for the bottom part of the screen and one part for the top. So like hold it like this almost. I'd imagine like a controller. So that's pretty much all I have to say for this phone. If you like this video, you can like it. If you disliked it, you can dislike it. If you want to buy this phone or check out other things from Geek, there's a link for that down in the description below. If you want to subscribe, the button is near the description below. If you want to change your Amazon bookmark to our affiliate link, that link is also in the description. And then we have a Patreon link in the description below that helps us a lot. So it's just a monthly or occasional contribution to our channel that we're planning to use for camera updates. So check that out too. Anyways, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.